Welcome back, folks. Today we're here talking more about DayZ Frostline and the many updates we've gotten from their dev blogs, their two dev streams, and much more that we've been able to be privy to. Let's go ahead and talk with my friend Red Falcon and AlwaysStreams. So they introduced the fact that they've increased the map size of Shakal quite greatly.
Yep, and I'm going to jump right in and be a wet blanket right from the get-go. So I did see that. In my mind, they kind of did a little hand wavy magic there in saying, okay, we've added the ice sheets and you can explore those and you can build on them. And then there's the water. And so that makes the map almost as big or as big as Chernarus. And sure, the water between the islands, okay. But once you get out more than a couple hundred meters in the water, there's nothing else there. There's nothing, no points of interest. In my mind, it's hard to count that as explorable territory on a map.
Yeah, whereas for me, I sort of see it a little bit differently because I think because it's an archipelago, you should include the sea in between to some degree. And they have given us two measurements as well in the actual post that they did about it. They said one was 105 kilometers with the ice sheets, and then 236 kilometers squared, obviously, with the same as Chernarus, with everything that's explorable if you use the boats. So I think it should be considered.
I think that's fair. That including the inter-island waterways makes sense.
Also, you can get lost inside of these ice sheets if you actually don't know how to navigate them properly with your boats or even on foot. So I'm kind of excited to see how many people die while they're trying to traverse the ice sheets to the next island, either by falling in the water or just getting lost. So it's going to be kind of an interesting subject. But they didn't just change the map as far as the map size and the addition of ice sheets. They've also changed up the insides of the houses that we've grown to know very well, because that was another concern players really voiced was, oh, look, it's the same houses again. But the insides of them now are greatly changed. I think we have 3 different variants.
That's pretty exciting to me because as somebody that's played more than a few hours, I can look at a house and know I can exactly the path I can take in the house to hit all the loot spawn spots. And so by changing up the internals on some of them, that just adds more to it. There's more things to learn, more things to try, rather than just kind of a map that looks different and has slightly different environments, but the same building structures.
Yeah, and the colors they've used as well. I particularly like the blue on the stairs house. I thought that was really good. It adds a bit more of a distinction. And then you've obviously got the doors, which are a different color now. They're more brown inside, which adds like a really cool rustic effect. So I do think it sort of stands out. It's different. It's exactly what people wanted from the start.
Yeah, the developer lad has done a wonderful and amazing job kind of bringing storytelling to the insides of the structures now, making them more of a, oh, look what happened here, or kind of telling a little bit of story about things being turned over and stuff. But they also gave us some new types of buildings overall. They have a tented building now, which actually is pretty darn cool looking because it's kind of like 2 halves are like livable quarters with a wall in between.
Yeah, I did see that. I was pretty impressed with that. I like the whole design of the inside, to be fair. There's a lot of storytelling in there, and that's one of my favorite things about DayZ. Because the thing with DayZ as a whole is we don't get a lot of lore. We don't get like specifics. We get hints and suggestions. So our story is really something that we make ourselves. So to see that in the environment, I'm really excited to see what else is there.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a lot of these small visual and audio cues that really start to enhance the immersion. And like you said, it's not a fixed thing where we're stuck with one story path and one piece of lore. It's really you're making your own story. You're the hero of your own story, and you can kind of use all these little clues and hints to enhance that.
Like, I'm loving all these little details they're putting in. And one of the details they changed is actually changing the water wells. But on your journey there, they've changed the sound design inside of Shakal to include 3D audible sounds. Like, I think they said it was like over 243 new sounds that are being added into the game. You know, when the wind's rustling through the trees, instead of hearing the trees groan, you can actually hear some of the branches snapping and twigs breaking and stuff like that. It's really cool because it's just another level of sound design adding towards the storytelling.
Exactly. It's just more layers. And they have been working on the sound design over the last couple of patches, but that's it's really exciting to hear that they're doing some. That's a lot of new sounds, especially if they're soundscaping them in 3 dimensions.
Well, I actually posted a video on Twitter showing sort of the sign. I was just walking through a town, the bell was going, the music was playing, the infected were going around, the footsteps, the bushes, the rustling, the wind, everything just came together, and I was like, I need to clip this and I need to share it.
Yeah, it is. And then, like I said, they redid the water wells, and in Shakal, they're not going to be water wells anymore. They're going to be these springs that are off the beaten path from the settlements on Shakal. What do you guys think about this kind of new approach to gathering fresh water?
I think again, it makes the new DLC more than just a new vanilla map. It's adding more dimensions, more interesting things that set it apart. So, I'd say, bring it on. Let's see some more.
Now, before we jump on to our next subject, talking about all of these cool map changes, the terrain, and everything else, we can't leave out the hot springs. And they don't sound like a nice, pleasant place to go to take a bath, right?
You've ever been around volcanic hot springs? Sometimes they're nice. Many times they're toxic, and they're at a boiling point. So yes.
I can totally see taking some, unfriendly players and making them walk through the hot springs because they did something naughty. But all the fun possible things you can do in DayZ, it's all fun and games, right?
Right.
Um, but they also have introduced boats. Talking about the water, talking about the ice sheets, they finally have given us a new terrain vehicle into the game, which is a rubber dinghy boat. But we have boats finally.
Yes, and I'm actually working on a video that goes through both the first and second iteration of the boats that they put in. Like you said, it's the little rubber Zodiac utility boat that holds 4 players. They did release it in the 126 update 2, and there were quite a few bugs, and they've patched a bunch of them in the latest update, update 3, but there are still some challenges. So they look really nice. They get around. They'll get you from here to there, not very fast. But again, we'll be going over more details in a separate breakout video.
Yeah, and I found the boats to be quite smooth as well, which is something I didn't expect, especially in such an early stage. Also, I can become a DayZ pirate, which is just something that I think is fucking awesome.
Yar.
Alrighty then. One of the things I actually liked about some of the boats was actually the boat teaser. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but they actually were driving the boat through Shakal quite a bit on the coastline. So you can get a pretty good view of what the coastline of Shakal looks like as they're showcasing the boat. Thought that was a clever little detail. DayZ always likes to put in those little details in everything they do, but I thought that was kind of nice. The one thing talking about all of this stuff, boats and all that stuff, is falling in the water can be extremely dangerous. But it also plays into how they change the insulation of clothing, because now they've made the variations in clothing have a true purpose. One of the examples they give was hunter clothing. Hunter clothing used to have the same insulation, whether it was the summer, the autumn, the fall, no matter what, and now they've given us the winter. It was always the same insulation. Now they've changed it. The summer has low insulation, where the winter has heavy insulation, and you can imagine the in between ones vary. And I kind of like this because now it feels like clothing has a true purpose other than cosmetic to wear it. You now have to choose. If I pick up the summer hunter clothing, is it really going to make me feel warmer versus grabbing the winter?
Absolutely.
clothing?
I always thought that was silly that they that Hunter's series of clothing all had the same insulation. Because why would I want to wear summer if it was cold or winter if it was warm? It was just different color variants. So that's again another little detail, kind of layering it on to add to the immersiveness. With that clothing, you can vary it depending on what map you're playing on. So Livonia, the winter stuff really isn't all that relevant. Chernarus maybe. Sakhal definitely.
Yeah, and speaking about the survivability and them actually making people adapt, they've also introduced a new type of sickness called metal poisoning, but they've introduced other ways of dealing with it. But let's just talk about the sickness first.
I think it makes sense given the terrain of Sakhal. It'll be interesting to see exactly how it behaves and whether it's just kind of a Kuru type thing or if it's somewhere in between that and the flu or that sort of thing, and then the treatments for it and kind of adding that whole nother dimension.
They have also added in the ability to have a filterable water bottle that you can actually filter the metal poisoning out. And they said the water bottle even can filter out most common diseases. So that's quite a boom to the survivability. It's just another way for you to survive.
Right, kind of a what is that product called? Life Straw. It's something you can get for survival where you can just suck in pond water and it'll filter it out. So yeah, that's definitely cool.
Which is how I spend most of my Wednesday nights.
Sucking on pond water.
with me, DayZ, I love the diseases. I love the sickness. I know a lot of people don't, but I love planning a journey and getting ill and then trying to find a way to stop it, or trying to think, can I do this thing? Well, I can't. There are consequences here. So although a lot of people sort of give diseases and sickness a bit of a hard reputation, I really like it when they add more. I'm kind of hoping they add a few other things, maybe some frostbite, maybe trench foot, just some other things to really make the game a bit more difficult.
Yeah, and it's wonderful because not only have they added in the filter water bottle, but they also gave us some pills to be able to use to deal with metal poisoning once it's inside our bodies, or to actually disinfect our water bottles that are normal or our canteens. Fun fact, folks, the water bottle and the canteen hold the same amount of liquid. But this has been a wonderful time. If you folks are interested in finding out more about our guest AlwaysStreams, his links are down below. He covers a wide variety of topics on DayZ, from tips and tricks to update videos to his overall opinion of the game, and sometimes he covers servers in his videos. But also join me in thanking our producer, Red Falcon, who is the author of a boat mod and plenty of other fun mods for DayZ. And thank you very much for coming to the State of Survival podcast and our speculation of Frostline Shakal number 2 to talk for now.